All right. Welcome to Think Bros Pod episode 2.
Mhm. It's a couple weeks now since we had some scheduling conflicts, but
Yeah, we're back.
yeah, we're back.
We're back in action. Cool. New set. Think Bros Pod set 2. First
Yeah,
one was in my room at a desk. We've already upgraded. Look at the rate of change.
yeah. Now it's at my
It's
house with some random pictures and a decent lighting setup that is jerry rigged that you will never see. So
yeah, life being built with PVC and LED lights. So that's amazing.
yeah, it's more of a I'm cheap and don't want to buy
Yeah,
Chinese like Alibaba crap. So
I like it. I like it. All right. So last time we talked about a bunch of stuff and we talked a little bit about training wins and business wins. I think this time we said, okay, we're going to stick a little more to a lot of ideas. But one thing I was thinking is I want to talk about ideas related to stuff that's going on with our business.
Okay.
I'll give you an example. So for me right now, I have had this crazy opportunity come up where I have gained potentially 2 clients
Mhm.
plus that are paying me a lot of money.
Yeah.
And the only reason that is possible is it's from personal training, one-on-one personal training.
Right.
The only reason that, someone felt comfortable referring me these, very high paying clients was because I've been doing it for 8 years now.
Hmm.
And so the idea I wanted us to talk about a little bit was like, there's so much value and experience. And maybe that seems like, yeah, duh. But the idea is like, you and I both, definitely me, I get so excited about novelty, about the next new note taking app
Yeah.
or a new project, especially. I actually heard David Perel talking about was it Ryan Dice? It was a marketing guy.
So I don't know who he is, but
Yeah, the marketing guy told him there's 2 types of people: 0 to 1 people and 1 to 10 people.
okay.
0 to 1 people are all about getting started, getting the project going. And I've heard this a bunch of different ways.
Yeah.
1 to 10 people are about really the execution. You can also maybe think of this as the EOS framework of the visionary versus the implementer. So you have the visionary, who's the person who's head in the clouds, 50,000 foot view, which
Yeah.
I am. That's 1000% me. And then the implementer was really the day-to-day execution of stuff that gets it done, whatever. So anyways, yeah. And there's so much value in that 1 to 10. And like you really have stuck with a career, you've got great experience, you're a subject matter expert. Right. So for me, it really doesn't take much effort to do a phenomenal job with these clients. So anyways, that was sort of an interesting idea. I was like, because I was getting out of personal training. I was potentially never going to do it again. Like I was
Yeah.
I was on the way to not doing it anymore. And then
As soon as you think you're out,
that's
right back
that's
in.
right. Yeah. And it is enjoyable. And part of it too was I was having a hard time getting clients to pay enough to make it really worth my time or what I could make at
Right.
doing these other things.
Right.
So I'm super excited about it. It's a great opportunity. And I will say the stuff I've been working on, the things that we both are really into, the business side of building a second brain and the skills we learn from personal knowledge management to digital note taking to using technology to manage projects had helped so much. Like I'm knocking it out of the park with these people, but like I would not have been able to do it so well were it not for like the last, I guess, call it almost 1.5 to 2 year
Yeah.
sabbatical
Yeah.
getting into the GJ stuff.
Well, I mean that there's like that's a good point where it's just like people don't see the preparation that it took just to get to where you are. And like you said, like all the systems and all the stuff that you've learned leading up to this point have prepared you to be able to take on like these clients and like be able to show tremendous value.
Yeah.
But yeah, like there's like where did you come from? Like there's like the overnight success type
Right.
of thing where no one sees the work you put in
Right.
for the past 8 years or even 1 to 2 years with like the knowledge management and all the productivity as a whole stuff
Right.
that yeah even now we're just I like my thinking has evolved so much that yeah, if I was doing this when I graduated college, I would not be any way prepared to do what I'm trying to do now.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's in some ways it's interesting with the stuff you're trying to do around this. I don't know if we have a perfect one hitter name for it. Automation, executive athleticism coaching.
It's a
It's evolving.
yeah, it's an evolving name as far as trying to bring automation to the forefront for small businesses, for like solopreneurs, for people that that obviously want to um, scale or be able to offload a lot of their work, but without having to hire an extra person or hire a VA. Like there's a lot of opportunity in that space that I don't feel people are utilizing to its fullest potential.
So what are you tentatively calling this? People ask what you do.
It's like a business automation accelerator or something like that that I would like.
Yes.
That's the premise of it. Where
But the accelerator part is more, that kind of sounds like the product, but just the field, right? Like PKM, personal knowledge management, right? So I mean, I guess you could almost say small business automation consulting,
yeah,
small business automation coaching.
yeah,
And I kind of like coaching versus consulting
okay,
because but then again, I like consulting because it's, because it's like, it says that you're getting a clear result output.
right,
Coaching sometimes has the connotation of,
yeah,
we're going to talk about your feelings.
and to an extent, like
But it's a part of it.
coaching is, yeah, like,
Yeah.
I have to kind of like talk about, well, like what am I really attached to that I don't want to let go,
Yeah.
but would help my business a lot more if I did.
Oh, interesting.
Because like some people like being hands on and like doing it on their own.
Wow. Yeah. Because with the things I'm doing around the things I stole from Tiago Forte, word for word. And that was an avenue. And I do love it. And I still am going to do a good amount of it. Probably just a few select clients. There was a world where I was basically recreating building a second brain in a specific app craft. And then I shifted away
Yeah,
from that a bit, but I still like doing it. But anyways, you will be doing something similar in that when you butt up against someone's productivity limitations, it often has nothing to do with technology or their workflow.
Yep.
It's emotions.
Yep.
And Tiago talks all about this, right?
Yeah.
Emotions are the right, a huge block of a productive. One day he has a great blog post, Productivity for Precious Snowflakes, which is saying mood is the most important thing in determining what really you should work on at certain times of day, whatever.
yeah. And that sounds so frilly, but at the same
Yeah.
time, it's so true.
Right. I mean, when you're dealing with real, yeah, when you're not dealing with robots, you're really dealing with humans.
Mhm.
And yeah, something I've found is I mean, certainly, and I'm saying I found this in my clients, certainly if someone were to coach me, they would be the same thing.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's like productive procrastination, doing the things that matter least at the expense of things that matter most, because you feel like you're just checking things off.
Yep.
And
try to build that momentum, but
right.
And-
You're,
and
it's like you wake up and you're doing your easiest low hanging fruit work,
Yeah.
which is maybe not important but urgent, versus the important but urgent work.
yeah,
And there's something behind that.
yeah. Have you heard of He and his like 10K like work framework and all
Yeah.
that? Like, yeah, that's the $10 work where it's, you can do it. Like, you think it's something that's probably long, but it's not like the big lever mover that you can just jump over a lot of shit with your like business as a whole.
You know what I just realized? As you were asking, like, have you heard of the KT framework? And I was like, yeah, that I do that a lot. I'm like, of course, I'm Dave Razio. Of course I've heard of that. But really, that's kind of rude. What I should have done, especially for the sake of the recording this, is say, I'm kind of heard of it, but could you explain it to me?
Yeah, and that's I guess part of it too is like a lot of us, or like both of us, sit there and like we have this repository of all the stuff
Yeah.
that we've had over the years. So
We have a second and third brain.
well, yeah, it's one of those things where like we know this almost intuitively now,
Yeah.
but the listeners may not. So the whole like 10K framework is that you have like a 2x2 zone, kind of like this like important and urgent type of thing where you have your emails, like following up, like calling people. You have working in your business as far as like writing up a proposal, like do it like working on a certain deliverable. Then you have the extraneous work where it's just like don't even try to do this. That work as worth nothing to you. And then in the like top right corner, however you want to look at it, is what's called like this 10K work, which is worth $10,000 an hour as
Right.
just this like huge exaggeration, but it does follow through pretty well. Where like these are the things where you're working on your business instead of in your business. That way you look at the overarching systems and say, how can I improve this? Whether that's hiring someone, whether that's seeing how things can be automated, whether you can figure out, well, like this work really isn't helping us on like helping us get more business or providing more value than it creates.
Right.
So like in that sense, like it's a good framework to have, not just like with your like your personal business, but in anyone's business as an employee, as someone that is part of a company.
Yeah.
Is identifying that and figuring out how to do more of that 10K work.
Now, is it almost a continuum where as you climb up the ladder, the main differentiating factor is leverage?
I'd say
Or
so.
is that oversimplified?
I'd say so. Like, and it doesn't really have to be any more complicated than that. Is like the thing that probably takes up the most time in a sneaky way, or at least takes up the most like cognitive load or like thinking, is the emails, the follow-up calls, and even to a lesser extent, like drafting up proposals, doing like the hard deliverable work.
Right.
That's the stuff that definitely is important, but at the same time, it's not something that if you're the owner of a business or wanting to like jump to that next level of your like of revenue of just like of the business as a whole, that you should be working on yourself.
Yeah.
And that's why, yeah, like I definitely think automation can help out a lot with that. And then having either a human in the loop or being able to hire someone when you do have the capacity. That's like,
Yeah.
that's,
Human in the loop is so interesting. We'll have to, I feel like that
oh
was
yeah,
put that into.
there's a bit of ideas on that. And that's like
Yeah.
part of like the ideas that I have listed here is just stuff that I've either seen in my own, like in the company that I work for, or that I see that startups are having a hard time with. Like I told you about the biotech startup that is trying to get their sales process like all bundled up together. So there's like some type of flow for people that are just hiring on.
Right. So we were talking about how you're doing this new thing, and from my big opportunity to make considerably more money than I ever have by, doing personal training. It's hilarious. I always thought I would make a ton of money by opening a gym. Oh, what a hilarious practical joke that was. And granted, like the apocalypse happened, I had to close my gym. It was on its way to crushing. But I mean, I see it now a road where I'll have 4 to 6 clients at this new price point
And high ticket. Yeah.
and be making like $150,000 a year over the course of a few years. Whereas with a gym, for a gym owner to be able to pay themselves that, the amount of blood, sweat, and tears they have to pour in is just insane. Granted, that's also part of the Zoom revolution and work from home, and clients are cool with that. And just the increases in Zoom and technology.
The ability to do
Like Zoom, people forget, like Zoom a few years ago was awful.
Mhm.
Like it's hard to even, I mean, I guess a few years ago, 3 years ago, Zoom was nowhere near where it is now.
Yeah.
It's just skyrocketed. But
I mean, how do you make for this like high ticket fitness business? Like like the players that are like Peloton, where you have like or Mirror or Tonal, where you have these videos of coaches trying to work you through it. Now, like as a personal trainer, and you're able to like do things remotely and things like that at a higher ticket price now.
right.
What like I personally, I don't think that
How am I not going to get automated? Is that your question?
I'm saying that having a personal trainer is better than having some type of robot or video camera try to correct your form.
Yeah.
Because like that, in my opinion, at the very least, that like the things like tonal Peloton and like I guess whatever mirror, whatever it is,
Right.
the the coaching is lacking that human aspect to look at like okay,
It's
this
everything.
person has a background. It's not like there's no like box that you can put people in.
You have no idea how much I'm resonating right now with what you're saying, bro. I am resonating so hard right now. I'm about to take a highlight. I'm about to honor this away recording. Yeah, no, you're exactly right. And I've been listening a lot. My favorite new celebrity personal trainer crush is Menno Henselmans. Have you heard of him?
Yeah.
Dude. I told you about him. Had you heard about him outside of me telling you about him?
Yeah, I think like
He's pretty.
Jeff Nippert or something.
Yes.
Podcast.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's like evidence-based OG. You got Jeff Nippard, you got Eric Helms, Strong by Science guys.
Yeah, the people that really dive into the research.
They are
you know
evidence-based almost to a fault. And Menno, I would say, is like, dare I say, the smartest of all of them. Just straight up valedictorian, behavioral economist that happened to love lifting weights and therefore was a gift to the fitness industry. So I was thinking myself in that vein. But in terms of being amazing at research, because one of the skills that people often will say, oh, research shows, or I read this study, or I saw this article about this study.
Yeah.
But learning how to read research is such a skill. What was the methods? Was it blind or double blind? Was it an RTC? Was it research control trial, or was it like is it epidemiological, or it's like,
as you're saying this, I know people's eyes are glossing over, but that's like that's the point of this, is that it's so difficult to do this.
Yeah.
Like regularly.
If your grandmother sends you, or your grandmother's probably gonna do this, but if your Uncle Bill sends you a study, right, that has a number from PubMed, he's like, see, I told you, 3 Cokes in the morning instead of breakfast is the new type of intermittent fasting. It's like,
Yeah.
you can find a study for almost anything. But the point of what I'm saying about Menno is he is one of those who can very quickly look at research and tell, okay, this is legit, this is not legit. He recently wrote a book that has 550 scientific references. One of the greatest books I've ever read about fitness, called The Science of Self-Control. Highly recommend. He was talking a lot in a recent podcast about research shows that people will work harder if there is someone watching them. They don't even have to be coaching. And this kind of makes sense. Like, it's sort of like why you will so they've shown that people wash their hands more if there's just like a set of eyes there. It's sort of this subconscious thing. But you're totally right. There's no replacing having it's like, what is that level of accountability? If I show up as a real human that they're paying a high price for, they're definitely going to do that workout. If me or a robot shows up, I have no problem telling the robot I can't make it.
Yeah.
But if I have to text Coach Dave and be like, yeah, I'm just kind of feeling, and that happens often. I'll have clients text me and say, I'm not feeling it. Like, well, what exactly are you not feeling? Oh, I'm not feeling too down. Okay, great. Well, we're just going to roll around and move around. Yeah. And then 10 minutes after their warm up, they're ready to go. It's a great workout.
And that's part of it too, is like, I think that one of the trends that I see happening is having like, if personal training in one aspect of it, but you are also an accountability coach. And I think like there's a market and a way for people to take advantage of just providing that accountability.
100%. Yes. Oh no, I believe that this is for people who have a few skills, one being coaching, which I would call that like you could, take a life coaching course online but that's a specific set of skills. The book, what is it? The Coaching Habit is good at, but it's like how to ask good open-ended questions, how to give good, specific, positive feedback, how to have value-based coaching. If someone does something, it's like, hey, I love how you showed up today and you're all ready to go. You were on time. That really is expressing your value of commitment and consistency to your health, or that really is reflecting how much you value being there for your family. Your commitment to this program shows you want to be around for your kids and grandkids. So there's like all these things. So I think that's one piece of it, but you apply that coaching framework to even automation, right? People think that they're getting this super nerd who's going to help them clean up and increase profit by X%.
Right.
But really, there during that session, it's like if you can provide that human connection piece of it,
Mhm.
then and that's what I love about building Second Brain is in the course, a huge piece of it is Tiago talks a lot about like mindset shifts, and you can tell that it's infused with this a sort of life coaching aspect to it.
Well, like that, and that's part of like what I'm trying to like allude with some of the stuff where like you have fitness coaching, you have accountability coaching, being able, but and I'm an automation nerd, so I just think about, well, how can I scale Dave as a trainer and accountability coach in, or at least offer that service that like he can let it kind of run on the background and like be able to capture a little bit of revenue on that side, but also whatever he does need to do to look more into a certain client or whoever, he can come in and like probe a little bit deeper.
Oh, yes.
So there's quite a few different like text automation software and things like that that can like send these text messages out on a regular basis. Like say you know that your client's going to be working out from 3 to 4. You like text them right before saying like, hey, like you geared up, you're ready to go.
Right.
Then you get an answer from there. If that kind of like if the answer is like a yes or like I'm good to go, I'm pumped, whatever, and then be able to follow up at the end of it. Like being able to do it that way if you're not like if you're not calling in to go see them. But that's like a way that you can be able to kind of copy yourself and have that same energy through text
Right.
without actually having to do it,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Um,
I like it.
so like, I think there's definitely ways of applying that to fitness. There's ways to applying that to accountability coaching where sometimes people just, again, need that text
Yeah.
to hold themselves accountable and maybe just as a journal, just a way to prompt themselves to say, like, you know what? Like I didn't do X, Y, Z today.
Yeah. There's so much value in that. I
Mhm.
love it. Okay, let's do some of our weird ideas here. So you here.
Yes.
Yeah, or whatever. What do you have? Anything that really resonated with you this week? Anything that's like you're wanted to chat about?
Well, I think one of the big ones, and like we were talking about earlier, was um, like human resources and onboarding is a total shit show for for most large companies. Well, yeah, I would say most large companies and especially startups. Like talking to one of my friends that's in San Francisco working for a biotech company. She's just like, well, we have like we're making money. We have the people to do everything, but we want to hire more folks to be able to to increase our sales, to increase our output, but like everyone's so specialized and we don't have anything to give to a new hire and say, hey, like here's how we're going to learn this process. So like for me, I was thinking, well, this is something that is not just condensed to the biotech industry. This is
Right.
everywhere. And this can be like a singular department or a whole company that from an applicant putting in their job application to interviewing to like, what does your first 30 days, 60 days, 90 days look like? There's very few companies that do that well.
Yeah.
And I think in that sense, being able to use like things like Trello, things like Zapier and Airtable to very quickly and easily, just as soon as they apply, as soon as the person applies, they're going through the funnel of interviews and people are getting notified by email like, hey, you have an interview
It's
with
like
this
a
person.
HR management software. Is there
Yeah,
not something that exists for this?
I want to say so, but like I haven't heard anyone raving about
Right.
a good one. And
Yeah.
honestly, you don't need a good one. Like you could have everything like through these like no code tools
Right.
without without paying like $500,000 a
Yeah.
year for.
Yeah. I heard the recent MFM Mike Walling, I think was his name.
Yeah.
Right. And he was saying anytime people are using a spreadsheet for almost anything, like that's an opportunity.
Yeah.
If they're using email in a spreadsheet, we can probably create a software for them. And I mean, that whole, I know nothing about it, but that whole SaaS world is super interesting in that you've got,
Yeah. I mean, you could bundle this up in a SaaS, like for sure. I just think that if you don't want to pay for the SaaS, it's like it would take me maybe a week to be able to build something out as a template and then be able to say, hey, like here you go. Here's like a sample way of doing it. Go ahead and use it type of thing.
Now, wouldn't the challenge for that be if you did that with, so it's like, okay, a company either has the choice of, well, someone would have to develop a SaaS first.
Yes.
That doesn't exist. So it's
Yes.
like, if it doesn't exist, then
Mhm.
because there probably, even though this problem is not industry specific, perhaps the way that they need to handle it could be just meaning, and that's actually an opportunity for you, because if
Right.
that's the case, then they need a more custom build. And
Fair.
that's the sort of the magic of no code tools,
Yeah.
is you're able to cobble together this system,
Mhm.
Airtable. So you're saying Airtable instead of Notion, basically.
Yes.
Okay.
100%. Like, because I guess from an Airtable standpoint, there's like, at least for me, it's more an intuitive integration to, like, once, like, you can make a job form out of one, like, table, and
Yeah.
then from there, like, you have, like, they hit the submit button, an email goes to the HR rep or whoever you want to put it. And then from there, like, you file it, it's like, okay, well, this one qualifies for an interview. This one's like no go. So they send they put that, and an email gets sent off to there saying, hey, like, sorry, whatever. But the ones that do get a, like, hey, like, we want to select you for an interview. Here's a Calendly link, pick your time. And then from there, like, that spurs off any, like, even more triggers to the right people.
So you would build this thing for this one business,
Yes.
and then that would be the end of it? Or would you try to do that same thing and repurpose it for similar ones?
I think it would depend on the amount of, like, kind of the amount of need that people would see. I know that.
Or is there a world where you would like document the entire process of building the thing
Yeah,
step by step,
there's ways. Yeah.
show it all? I love that idea of like, and we've talked about this, but
Like, the productization of everything is definitely something that you can do with this.
yeah, well, but we've talked about the show your work ideas
Yeah.
of like, let everyone see the exact step by step secret recipe
Yeah.
behind the KFC chicken. Show them, because
Yeah.
they will never go to the store and buy all the little ingredients and put it together with the whatever's in KFC chicken
Yeah.
and make it. They're never going to make it at home. That's why they go to KFC. It's why KFC crushes.
Yeah.
So
Like,
there's no,
I legitimately go to, like, to a startup, or even just say, hypothetically speaking, like, put my title as, if I were working at Tesla when it was a startup, here's how I would basically replace the HR team.
right.
Because that's essentially what this does, is, like, you may have one person kind of checking and making sure the thing runs smoothly, but I can get rid of a whole HR team, or even not even have you hire an HR person,
Right.
by just having this whole workflow.
Yeah. So, I love that idea of like high ticket consulting that is driven from showing everything behind the curtain of, like, there's a Matt Birchler who has a YouTube channel, A Better Computer, and he did this one video that was just really exciting, that was showing how he built out, and this is, I mean, Notion porn is the internet these days,
Mhm.
but he was showing step by step how he built a system to manage his clients in Notion, right?
Right.
So I love that idea of showing the behind the scenes build of how I did this HR system for this business,
Right.
especially if it's like kind of a long drawn out thing. I've been thinking about this too, that there's some, how do you reduce the overhead of what it takes to document the process
Right.
without it becoming its own job
Yeah.
of showing your work, so to speak. Like, I've been wanting to do this with my YouTube scripts for these book summaries, but I'm like, okay, well, am I going to show all 40 hours? Probably not. Like, that's just, no, number one, it's just too much. And it's like, even managing that much footage becomes kind of a situation.
Mm.
It's like, okay, well, I do a lot, and I do it at weird random times, or the distilling and stuff, I'll do it like at night, whatever.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, what's the most valuable part of that process? It's probably the actual script writing. It's like, okay, I've got all these ideas that I created off camera. Let me now bring them to coalesce them together. So you see that with you in terms of your maybe doing a lot of the work, etc. And then perhaps you do like a recreation or a walkthrough of like, okay, this is how I did this, whatever.
Yep.
I think there's also value in that. And like, I'm actually kind of doing this. I'm creating an SOP for a business, the business we talked about last week, that I'm doing a YouTube video consulting for, but I'm teaching them how to do a minimum viable video using Descript. And so it's just that software. They're not doing Final Cut Pro. They're not using plugins or anything like that. It's
Just
one,
reduce, yeah.
yeah. And actually it's been really a blessing working closely with the gym owner who, makes like $500,000 a year. And it's no wonder, because all the interactions with them have shown me that he's all about two things: action and simplicity.
Yeah.
Like, I'll be like, okay, well, we could do this. He's like, well, will that add much time to your process? I'm like, yeah, kind of. Cut it. He's like, well, all we need is boop boop, this and this. Let's get it done. And he's and like the conditions aren't like, we can't get the mic working for him right now, all this stuff,
Yeah.
but nothing is stopping him. He's still pumping out. He's just going.
Mhm.
He's not worried about it. I was like, this is why you are so successful. He just doesn't overcomplicate it, right? I'm like, okay, well, we got to pick some music. So let me go on Epidemic Sound, look around. He was like, nope, found a song on YouTube.
Just that one.
Use that one.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I was like, okay, well, do you want to pick a few more that we could use at different times? Like, nope, just use this from now on. Perfect. It's just, yeah, the whole process has been really enlightening. It's like, wow, okay, there is so much value in just straight up hammering and not overthinking it in some ways.
What ideas do you have?
I have this tweet from my girl Steph Smith,
Okay.
and she was saying schools aren't structured for best learning, they're structured for grading. Workplaces aren't structured for optimal input, they're structured for tracking input. But this is the part that I want to talk about. Interview style pods aren't structured for best insights, they're structured for easiest recording. What does that mean to you?
I think it's to, one, prevent any awkward pauses, to prevent any kind of like, what's the word for it? Like, I guess confrontational type of things. As far as like when you see James Clear go on a podcast, it's usually the same 3 to 5 questions over like, so like explain to me how the systems and goals is different. It's almost
Yeah.
like Twitter. It's almost like Twitter is right now, where you have threads over the Feynman method, threads over the Eisenhower method, like threads over things that have already been discussed. And it's very much like just a like, what's the easiest thing to write about? Same thing with interview style pods, where like, what is the easiest question they can answer that they already kind of have an answer to? That's what that means to me.
Interesting. Yeah. Kind of like, how can we just get the sort of the pump and dump, get this person in through the circuit? They're on the book circuit.
Exactly.
Let's be one of the stops on the book tour.
Yeah.
Give us the regular show.
Yep. And it's a good thing for people with a book or whatever. It's like, hey, I want to increase sales. What do? I get on every podcast that's related to it.
Yeah. That's, well, number one, I really like that framing of looking at it. Sometimes I think I'm the total weirdo, and I never understand anything, because that's not at all what I thought it meant. I always think things mean weird things. And that's actually one of the things I really respect about you. I'm like, TJ really understands shit.
Well,
anyways,
because like when getting back to that, like how you make podcasts, because like I guess when she's talking kind of about the sea of sameness,
Yeah.
where it's a very common pattern that she sees. Well, like in terms of that, the ones that break the mold are probably the more entertaining to listen to.
Yeah.
Like My First Million, where they're asking questions that they want to ask versus just kind of like here's the same questions you've been asked everywhere. Like when you have like Hassan Minaj on there, like they're asking like how do you feel during like this period when you're like trying to get up on stage? Like that type of insight is something that he probably won't say on another podcast, where it's just like so tell us about your next book, tell us about your next show.
Yeah.
Where he knows the answer, and like it's basically just being robotic. Like if you can honestly optimize for the questions that do actually answer something you don't know.
Right.
That's the sign of a truly good podcast.
What I took from that was interview style pods versus like what we're doing now. So I took that as all in. What I took from that was podcasts without guests are better. When just meaning, and that might not be what that means, but I think that's at least an interesting thread to pull. Is my favorite two podcasts, and I think I know it's one of yours. Do you listen to All In?
Yeah.
System? Yeah. So and my first million and All In, and not overthinking for that matter. I mean, that's probably my top my top three. And although my first million does have guests, exactly like what you're saying, it's not a traditional interview style. They, they whatever keep the quality, but the best episodes, or at least the ones I like the most, are when it's just Sam and Sean. Same thing for the All In podcast. When they have guests, it's not as good. And same thing with Not Overthinking. It's just those two. And so that's sort of what we're doing. We're just like, okay, we're just bros, think bros, and we're just having a conversation, whatever. But yeah, cool. I thought that was interesting. All right, go for it.
So one of my friends texted me, and she's very into financial independence, the fire movement, everything like that. And she texted me just something for something me to think about is is there a better budgeting app? And when I first read it, I'm like, oh, here we go. Someone wants to make their own custom thing when there's 5,000 tools out there. But then looking back at it, and she kind of said here's what I feel is wrong with some of these things. And what I don't see a lot of budgeting apps trying to include is crypto and NFTs and all this other stuff. When it really isn't that hard, or at least from my standpoint, it's not that hard to integrate a wallet connection into your app.
Yeah.
You need a budget, you have Mint, you have Personal Capital, you have but in that sense, that's more
and those are the top three.
Yeah, there's plenty more.
And oddly enough, I had one of my best friends try to download and find a budget app that worked, and he was not happy with any of them.
Yeah.
So
there's definitely a market to be able to include the traditional ways, the investing, the savings accounts, the 401ks, all that. But there's also the opportunity to have one that includes that plus your Web3, be able to track the Ethereum price as it's fluctuating. And then also just providing a better dashboard, because Personal Capital, I believe, has one that I particularly like, that kind of shows you the trends. Mint has one that's more of a pie chart where it shows where your money's going. But I think if you look at places like Robinhood, it's a neat way of for them to show it, where they show kind of how your portfolio's gone down percentage wise or what have you. And I think that's what my friend was talking about, is can I have Robinhood and a personal finance app? Can I have that similar dashboard?
Yeah.
So I don't know what your thoughts are on that, as far as do you use a budgeting app, or
No.
It's
Well, the problem with me is, I use Google Sheets, right? As we were talking about, when somebody's using a Google Sheet, there's and here's what I was thinking as you were talking about that is I have a bit of a different problem. So I recently had to go through Chapter 7 bankruptcy. This was for a year ago after COVID hit, because I closed my entire gym. So my savings was non-existent. Not to say that I'm, now that's changing. So I probably will need to start tracking because I'm doing more investing, whatever. But my big need for budget, and actually my friend who makes quite a bit of money, who was saying this was his challenge too, is he was just trying to actually find a budgeting app, not an investment app, and not even basically an app that's for income and expenses, not assets and liabilities. So cause
cash in, cash out.
Yeah. Well, so what am I, right? It's it's more so, yeah, exactly. What am I making each month? What am I spending each month? More so that being the primary use case, the primary need of the app. And yeah, Personal Capital, Mint. I actually, You Need a Budget is the one that's the most interesting to me. I haven't, but the thing that he said about that, which I would agree, is there's a whole system of a cultish following
Mhm.
and it's almost it's like you have to read the book to use the
It's the CrossFit of
yeah.
budgeting.
It's like GTD, right? It's like you have to kind of know that you can't just go download an app
Yeah.
and then expect to use it. You can go download Things 3, but if you have no idea about GTD, then you're kind of screwed. Like I had done that. I had downloaded apps before I knew what the Getting Things Done system was like. It didn't really work. Now works great. So I think that's a thing, but yeah, also not since I don't have any crypto, I don't really know much about any of that. But I think, yeah, it sounds like that would make a ton of sense if you're going to have, if the mints and personal capitals don't already have that as a major feature set.
Mhm.
I would expect that they would have to at some point, but perhaps that's
And maybe two.
perhaps that's a disruptive. I mean, I don't know. I don't think it's necessarily too early. I think it's got to be like, to me, that's a huge differentiator is budget or, assets and liabilities, portfolio app that includes cryptocurrencies, like no brand.
Yeah. I think that's a good point where like the only app that I can think of that would kind of monitor you like what's coming in versus what's coming out is your bank. As far as like what's going into your checking,
Right.
what's coming out of your checking. But then like you have credit cards and things like that. And that's a like there's a whole different like rabbit hole we can go down as far as that goes. But yes, there is a like other than pen and paper and just tracking every receipt that you make that you like swipe your card on or charge yourself,
Yeah.
there is a lack of being able to quickly capture that
Right.
to a way that like when I get to the end of the month, here's where I've spent everything, and here's like the check that I get every 2 weeks or whatever from my job.
Right.
What's the net?
Yeah. Because I mean, and then when we talk about total addressable market, the market for people who invest versus the market for people who need to track their income and expenses, like it's just a scale issue. Like
Yeah.
way less people invest, right? I mean, probably 75% of Americans are not as concerned with, I'd be curious what the actual numbers are, but I would imagine that at least 60 to 70% of Americans are much more likely, the lower income earners are much more likely to, be willing to pay $1 or $2 a month for an app like that really did a great job.
Yeah.
They all got iPhones. Everybody's got iPhones, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's a huge opportunity.
Or does it have like a free version with like a little banner ad
Right.
and just cash in on the ads, provide a free service to people who actually need it,
Right.
and just let that ride, like build up the credibility of like, hey, this is the like to your point, how can I make this actionable, like implementable and simple?
Yeah. Because I need
those are two things.
I use a Google Sheet religiously. Like I track everything.
How many clicks does it take to be able to get to
Yeah, no, it would be better if it was an app. But the other thing is I'm pretty tech savvy, whereas most people aren't.
Yeah.
So that's another piece of it. Like I have
yeah,
that right on my phone. I know how to navigate it. I know how to move rows around really easily.
and that's part of it too, is like how can you make this like super simple for the
Yeah.
layman?
Exactly.
Because it sounds simple, but it's still very hard to take out your phone, take a picture of a receipt or whatever.
Yeah.
Like it may be even easier just to be like, hey, I'm hooking this up to this one card and
Yeah.
it's going to track just for this month.
Right.
Like whereas a credit card is going to like look at like, oh, the bill period between like December 14th and January 14th. It's like, no, I want like January 1, start tracking this and let me see at the end of the day.
Yeah, most people just need because we're talking about two different things. What you're talking about as far as the business opportunity was a really good finance app
Mhm.
that includes crypto. I
Yeah.
think that's money. But then that led to this other idea of a very good, almost like personal profit and loss. That's
Yes.
kind of really what it
Yes.
is.
Yes.
Like personal P&L.
P&L.
Yeah, the PP&L for, it sounds a little bit like PP&E. A personal profit and loss for just the everyday blue collar American,
Yeah.
whatever.
It's
so-
like that's like you said, like do one thing and do it super fucking good.
oh yeah,
Personal
That's my favorite.
development, like also like they can have like the like
This market.
stop shop we're gonna make it so that your budgeting is on lock, is on freaking lock.
Yeah. 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 Like what's coming in, what's going out. And that's the other piece of it too. There are some apps, like there's a Mac app called Copilot, which I heard is potentially good, but yeah, I mean that's the name of the game. Because looking through, and of course I'm sure like some of the big players maybe do this where they're saying, "Oh, hey, looks like you spent, this much over your budget, whatever."
Mhm.
So, next idea. There was this YouTube video. This guy was doing, okay, the channel is called TLDR Filmmaker.
Okay.
And I thought it was so cool that he had TLDR like in the name and what he does is because there's a ton of YouTube channels that review video gear,
Okay.
review video and audio gear. I am obsessed with them. I don't know why. And I like how they review the new pieces of gear and they'll do microphone tests. This microphone versus that microphone, this camera versus that camera, before and after. Here's with lighting, here's without.
Right.
And but this guy, just the framing of this is he's reviewing a new Rode mic. And within the first 15 seconds, he's like, the video itself is 10 minutes. And he does a quick little hook and he goes, TLDR timer, 3 minutes, let's go. And then right at the top left, it starts a 3-minute timer. It says TLDR,
So
and then it has the numbers. And I'm like, okay, you got me for the next 3 minutes at least. And I just thought that was such a cool positioning strategy. In one way, it's like, I think there's such value in a name, whether it's a title. I mean, obviously, it's a title in a video,
Mhm.
but in the name itself, this is why I always used to name gyms, have the word personal training in the gym. It's great for SEO and just people just get it. So yeah, I don't know. I just love that it was like, I'm gonna really distill these ideas for you. I'm even gonna give you a timer that says like for the next few minutes, you're just getting the nuggets. I know you're busy.
Yeah.
It's too long. And I feel like there's something there about the TLDR movement.
Yeah.
How like our society in some ways is now too long, not gonna read.
Mhm.
Not only it didn't read, never gonna read.
Right.
And that's why there's people don't read books. Most people don't read books. And so it's like such a big unfair advantage to be a synthesizer, so to speak.
To your point with like metal pencil, it's like that shit sounds really boring to go over research papers and try to like discern all this other, like all the details that actually make it. So like, do I even listen to this research or like, can I
refuse. I refuse.
And that's part of it is being able to distill it, like even to a book, to a book size. That's at least more accessible than trying to go on like NCBI or like PubMed, whatever, to look at these studies and just see the raw information.
Oh, I used to get in close to screaming matches with my first mentor. I'll call him out, Dr. Ben House, who is a research god.
Mhm.
And he is one of the smartest people in fitness. And he used to say to me, right, like he kind of wanted me to be like him. And granted, he's probably changed his views now, but I remember at that time, I was like, Ben, I'm never going to read research ever. That is not my place in the world.
Yeah.
My best life is taking this compressed information and delivering it to the people with jokes and a smile.
Mm.
That is my purpose.
Yeah.
You and I work together. If we're both doing the research, who's doing the shit? And so yeah, you're totally right. There's just and that's it's like it's distillation all the way down. I forget what that other phrase is, like something all the way down. It's all blank all the way down. I forget, but it's some business phrase. Anyways, but yeah, there's that great paper, The Power of Compression, which is the root of comedy and like all theater, entertainment, the root of like all these things is really compressing and distilling ideas down to their essence.
Yeah.
And then delivering them. So yeah, no, there's such, like you said, there's such value in, and to your point, I would like to take that book and take the ideas from it that are kind of in my little niche. I probably would make into YouTube videos. I probably would make different videos a few years ago
Mhm.
than I would now. Now in more kind of the book summary second brain world.
Yeah.
But yeah, but there's still like top 5 ideas given in that is a gift to the world.
Mhm.
And there is something that people have a value judgment of like if you're not doing primary research, and maybe this is my own bias and where I've come from, but it's like if you're not really like reading research, like you're not really delivering value. I just think that's horseshit. I think it's like all adult, great example, right? He just makes ideas, brings things from the world of ideas and books, and makes it fun and makes it entertaining and spreads, and more people will watch. More people will, will take that stuff. So, anyways, TLD are a filmmaker.
And I think that's part of it is like the constraints breed creativity in that sense. Like TikTok has accounts that like, oh, like I read the fine print, so you don't have to. And they compress like pages of terms of service agreements and all that stuff
Oh,
into like
great
a
example.
minute. And like and they do it in a skit form where it's like this and like go through the whole shebang. And it's like, I actually understand like what you're saying. Like I don't have to read through legal jargon.
Yeah, TikTok is such an interesting platform because it's probably the highest, like the high quality content is so much higher quality than the Instagram and the Facebook
Yeah.
and Snapchat.
And it doesn't have to be like expertly filmed or anything. Like
Right.
I was like doing stuff like that. Like I use maybe a few apps, but it's like it's something I can do in 5 to 10 minutes, post and be done. And like the ones that I'm talking about there, like I think we talked about like Miss Sheets,
Mr. Excel.
yeah, Miss Excel, where like you could like as a terms of service, like person that reads this stuff and like is able to make videos on that, you can have a course on like, hey, I'm gonna read through all like 10 like popular terms of service and tell you exactly how to make the most out of it.
Yeah.
And just have a recurring like subscription to it. Where like if they change it, I'm immediately on it and you can get the most out of it.
But do you and that makes sense, but do you see what I'm saying? That like, there's the idea the medium is the message.
Yes.
So something about Instagram leads to booty shots. Something about
Right.
Facebook, older people like it, and it's I don't even know anymore.
And that could just be like I don't know if that's the algorithm or like
So what
like I said,
why does TikTok breed like knowledge, like high quality,
well, it depends.
not production value?
Well, I think TikTok optimizes for, I guess, less polished, whereas Instagram, because they put filters, because like they're, I guess, more like into that, like, hey, this is a photo, make it look good. Then that's the thing that they optimize for is like you want this to look good.
Ah,
TikTok,
you see,
is-
I told you, you
because-
get it.
because you have like the create button, like almost right where your thumb is while you're scrolling, like it's incentivizing, hey, you should actually post a video and like anywhere. Like I open up my TikTok app right now. Like if I have Instagram open or whatever, I have the Reels thing right where my thumb is. If I go to my TikTok app, I'm able to it, but I have like what like create a TikTok right where my thumb is. So like they've been able to like from the get go look at it from a how do I get people to create more?
Yeah, and so it's almost like Tiago has this great quote about Zeno's paradox, where it's like, I've got to, and this is absolute story of my life, I've got to prepare before I can share. I've got to, right? And his point was, if you didn't learn anything else, if you just shared your zone of genius, your expertise,
Mhm.
then it would change your life and it would change a lot of people's lives. So in some ways, TikTok has just removed imposter syndrome in some ways at scale and normalized content creation. Like you said, it's just like it incentivizes lower production value, and inherent in that is something about rewarding the content itself, like rewarding actually high quality messaging versus like crazy production value. So yeah, that's so interesting to me. But in your TikTok, what is it, by the way? Well, shout out.
Just add GJ Cicada, like my first middle initial and last name.
Love it. Love it.
Trying to be more active on that, doing like basic productivity, but also like
We'll give it a link in the video description.
yeah. So this is probably rehashed or whatever, but I think, and this is kind of influenced by what I'm seeing on TikTok, because apparently this is something that like I watch, is the sheer just atrocities that are this profiles.
Ah.
And here it's a thing that
Now I'm gonna need help.
so
with this.
here's the thing. I've been
Are you gonna be my coach?
I've been dating my girlfriend for like almost 2 years now, but I've been dating for ever since like college and all that other stuff.
Right.
And I remember like making the Tinder profile, making the Bumble profile, and they've gotten ridiculously more like complicated. Like you can
Right.
put audio messages, you can
Wow.
you could like really like put videos of yourself doing stuff. Like it's one of those things where like, oh man, like you can use a lot. I posted 5 pictures, wrote a small bio, and that's all I could do.
Yeah.
I maybe could put my political stance or something,
Right.
but
The complexity is almost like good and bad.
right. Well, and that's the thing is like I see TikToks of being funny, being clever with like audio stuff, but I also look at like, okay, you have the usual photos that guys post, like holding the fish, with like 5 different guys like doing like this, crossing their hands or whatever. And like you have coaches saying like, don't do that, don't do this, don't do this. Like you should be doing this, and having again like
So hold on. I have a question. I'm sorry. These videos, are you saying these videos are from like dating profile optimizer coaches, or what
So-
accounts are
So some of them like just they'll post on TikTok saying like, I really enjoyed like this dude's response to with an audio note or whatever.
so a
So
a female
yeah,
on the platform,
a girl is judging
a woman, if you will, on the platform.
or a dude that's looking at a woman's profile.
Okay, gotcha.
And then there's also the ones that like that roast the profile, saying like oh, every guy is the same, like they have this picture, and it goes through a ton.
Okay, so I mean, because that would make the most sense,
Yeah.
right? It's like, who has access to this? Like we were talking about before, low barrier to entry content,
Yes.
right? They're just doing screen captures. That's hilarious. I've never even
but I guess going into that sea of sameness thing, where there obviously is a sea of sameness for dudes' profiles. So
Yeah.
like, being able to personalize a bit, not just in a way that gets you more matches, but gets you the matches you want. Because like, if you're a business, if you think of yourself as a business, the leads that you want need to be qualified. They need to be like somewhat in like the range that, hey, I want to work with this person.
can't sound like Mark Manson, no.
Yeah. And like I'm heavily influenced by Models' book. But like that's the thing, is like, what are you optimizing for with your profile?
Yeah.
Like for me, I'm not trying to optimize how many matches I get. I'm optimizing for the matches that I want.
Yeah, totally.
So like if I'm going to put like
Bro, you're speaking my language right now. I'm getting so fired up. I'm about to go download Hinge right now.
But that's what I'm saying. Is like, if you want to optimize for that, like that's going to take a lot more than just, hey, let me look through my camera roll and pick like 5 pictures in a video or whatever.
Yeah.
So like in that sense, yeah, like there's an opportunity for a coach, or even just an AI to be like, hey, what the hell do you like? And then from there, like I can upload my camera roll. I can say what I like, and it will write the copy for me. As far as like, hey, you like fitness? Like here's an answer. Here's like a potential response you can put. Like it can be that easy. But like I don't think people as far as the market goes, yes, like people would want it. But as far as people paying for it, I don't think that that's like a thing just yet.
Well, I will tell you, as someone in the market, although I am, after 36 years of dating consistently with no marriages or kids, I'm on a bit of a hiatus, but I'm thinking about getting back in the game in about a year or so.
Mhm.
And I strongly considered hiring a coach. It was actually, oddly enough, someone who was doing a good job tweeting. I know I hate on Twitter sometimes, but it was
the way they get into your brains.
I've been infected by the mind virus. Her name's it's actually a woman, Camila Johnson, I think her name is. So she spits fire. I think she was probably liked by like Danco or something like that.
Something like that.
So she does it. She has got she has a Mighty Networks community. Are you familiar with Mighty Networks?
Yeah.
Right. So she's got it's called like Dominate Dating. And for I think like 25, right? Crushed. I'm all about the alliteration. So it's like $25 a month. And yeah, she'll do profile reviews, DM. I don't understand how she scales this because apparently you get like 1-to-1 DM access. I'm like, okay, Dave's gonna be messaging multiple times a day. I don't know how you're gonna do this.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm excited to try it out. But yeah, man. Well, we'll have to keep reviewing the. So what you're talking about is not the sea of sameness in the actual TikToks themselves. You just mean these TikToks are really highlighting that with the, yeah, just in order to stand out in the sexual market,
Yeah.
the dating marketplace, if you will, that you have to showcase who you truly are. You have to be authentic. This kind of goes back to Naval stuff. Sorry, no one can compete if you're being authentic.
Yeah.
And you will always have an audience or followers or clients or friends if you are truly being authentic and to who you really are, because there's only one of you. We can't, it's not like GJ just dies and we just get this other guy to replace him. No, it's everyone has their own unique thing. But yeah, that is super interesting. We'll have to take a look at some of these TikToks.
Yeah. I'll collect a few once because I'm up in my feed and but my phone's listening right now. It's just
the thing about the complexity of this should be a recurring theme for the show. The thing about the complexity of dating app design, and I guess you would call it feature sets.
Yeah.
The higher set of features and capabilities is because we know from evolutionary psychology and current research that, I think this came out from, I don't know, Chris Williamson talks a lot about it, how the females date across and up,
yeah.
Right? Men date across and, is that right?
I think you're in the right.
Something like that. But the point is that there's the idea of hypergamy where, women, they optimize their mating strategy to have the highest value males. This is like proven evolutionary psychology. It also makes sense from a scientific standpoint. And so on dating profiles, they show that the top 10% of profiles, a lot of this comes from the alpha male community, right? It's like the 666, baby. 6 foot, 6 pack, 6 figures, dog. Right? 5'10", 3.5 pack, roughly 5 figures, but headed to 6.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm getting pretty close.
Yeah.
I have like, yo, it's 4, 5, 3.
It's potential.
And so the top 10% of men compete for the top 80% of women, or the top 80% of women rather compete for the top 10% of men.
Right.
And then the bottom 80% of men compete for the bottom 20% of women. Yeah. And so essentially with dating apps, you run into, this doesn't happen as much in real life, IRL, but on dating apps, it's a power law.
Yes.
Right. To the victor gets the spoils or whatever it is, like winner take all. It's similar to internet companies. And it's oddly enough, what do you know, internet business versus in real life. But yeah, that idea, I wonder if the complexity of the dating profile will magnify or reduce that tendency.
I think, you make a good point where, like, since you have more features to be able to showcase yourself, you're almost equalizing the playing field, because like when you do have your 666, there's more than and like, I guess it's the kind of unspoken rule, like the hotter you are, the less you have to try, or the less like other things you have to be good at.
Right.
Like you don't go for the hottest girl because like she's probably boring as hell and doesn't doesn't talk much or doesn't have anything that she like wants to do. She's just focused on like, hey, I'm being pretty. Like, I think there is that thing where like you could like say, like, oh man, like this girl like is like attractive. She caught my attention like from the get go.
Oh, so you're looking at it from the male perspective.
Well, I'm saying from a perspective, like this is like for a horror guy, where like you get like say you get some type of initial hook.
Okay, okay.
They're the
I think I see what you're saying.
like
You're saying the more complex feature set leads to a more nuanced understanding,
yes,
which is what you need,
yes.
right? It's
If I
like
go on Tinder,
Dave's not 6 foot tall, but I'm hilarious. So you got to give me a shot. But if all you're seeing
it's just my pictures and like 5 lines.
yes, me next to my 6 foot friend, and next to my buddy with a 12-pack,
Yeah.
I got no shot.
But if I can show like, hey, like, oh yeah, I can do like some type of impression, or I can like,
Right.
or I like here's me like actually doing something like kind of cool, or
Okay, here's another interesting observation. Yeah, we're always gonna have to talk about dating works. This is like the most fun thing possible. Is what if the distribution doesn't change at all, but it's redistributed, meaning the unfair advantages shift from how jacked and tan / whatever the hell, I don't even know.
Yeah.
What are the ways I can optimize? Like there was optimization factors pre complex profiles. I don't even know what I guess we would call like audio video. That's like the main features is you can now do videos on audio.
Well, I mean, like you only had photos at the beginning.
Yeah.
Then you added you added audio and video later, and like more like it's customized. Like I can put my political view. I can put like word like I don't know what I like to eat or something like that. You know, like
Right.
I had like questions that would like give me a little bit more
Right.
yeah. depth.
Yeah, because I haven't used profiles in a long time, and so you're saying just in the last maybe year or two,
Yes.
like these new features. So
Mhm.
I'm just saying, yeah, with the new features, specifically the more nuanced, like I don't know, we call it 3D,
Yes.
but more dynamic versus static
Mhm.
content. It's almost like, okay, now are you great at, well, you know, what really works there? How good are you at producing that content, right? It's like maybe someone is awful with video and audio, whatever, but I don't know, but maybe it is truly the democratization of, you know, the dating market. And it's like, okay, no, you actually get to know people, whatever. So
Yeah, they're trying to bring that in real life experience as close to the app as possible, and
Yeah.
like buy
it's a good idea.
allowing people to use their voice to be able to take videos, put them on there. Like I think that's what the aim is.
Right. Yeah. I mean, this whole time, my strategy was like do a podcast and send them the link, right? But no longer, we can just go straight to the source. So cool. Awesome. I think that's the show.
Yeah, that's it.